we're going to look at this whole area of skin here. That would be the first move, but also we want to look at this area here. And we want to decide what it is that is going on with her skin. So I don't have the advantage of a Visier scan, but I don't know whether you agree with me. These tiny fine lines here around this area, you can see lots and lots of tiny little fine lines. What do you think that might indicate? Dryness. Absolutely. So this is somebody whose skin is water dry, it's dehydrated, and be careful to be understanding the difference between oil dry and water dry. So if we put a lot of grease on this patient's skin, it's not really what they're looking for. What we're looking for her is something which is more humectant, i.e. something which brings water into the skin. What do we use regularly in aesthetic practice which is a humectant? Yep, which filler, which ingredient? So hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid absorbs 1,000 times its weight in water and holds water into the skin. Now, I have a very simple description for my patients for how the skin functions. And I know this is very simplistic, but it helps them to understand why we're offering the skincare that we offer, or doing the mesotherapy treatment, or whatever it is, where we want to increase glycosaminoglycans in the skin. So glycosaminoglycans contain, think hyaluronic acid, think water. We want to get more glycosaminoglycans. What produces glycosaminoglycans is the fibroblasts. So if you explain to the patient that your skin is like having an engine and fuel, and the engine in your skin is the fibroblast, and the fuel that the fibroblast needs to function properly is water. So we need to get more water into the skin, which makes the fibroblasts work better. If the fibroblasts work better, you get more glycosaminoglycans and more hyaluronic acid, therefore you have more water. So you can produce this wonderful cycle of the engine producing more fuel and the fuel firing up the engine. Okay, so for this patient, I would look at ingredients that are going to do exactly that and fire up the fibroblast. What else can we see in her skin? We've got some fine lines and wrinkles. So if we can produce, yes, more hyaluronic acid, but also more collagen, then we're going to plump her skin. She's got some hyperpigmentation there. Uliana touched on hyperpigmentation earlier and showed us how we can have a look at the different levels of hyperpigmentation. Now, there are all sorts of different ways of dealing with superficial hyperpigmentation. We can peel, we can use active ingredients, we can use lasers. If we have a really deep dermal hyperpigmentation, and we get what we call pigmentary incontinence, where you've got pigment seeping down to the deep layers of the dermis, you can't reach that with a peel. You can't reach that with a lot of things. With any of the topicals, they're not going to get there. But what you can do is you can take injectable ingredients. So the list we talked about earlier on, butaresorcinol, kojic acid, arbutin, etc. There are mesotherapy ranges now that contain those that you can inject, so you can target that deeper hyperpigmentation. And that's great, because for years we've talked to patients about the dangers of resurfacing, that as you resurface with somebody with hyperpigmentation, if it's a superficial hyperpigmentation, you can lift it off very easily. If it's a slightly deeper hyperpigmentation and you take off the top layers, it's like drawing the curtains back and exposing that hyperpigmentation. So we've had to warn people that hyperpigmentation will get worse before it gets better. We now have ingredients and treatment modalities that we can use that can hit those deeper hyperpigmentation patches very easily and very quickly.